Is there a part of you that can just practice accepting? For whatever reason, that's not where I'm meant to be in that moment. I choose to be in the flow. I choose to be flexible. I choose to be open. So finding the thing, right? If you weren't stuck on the outcome and you weren't irritated and you weren't annoyed, which is how I tend to get, who would I be? I can be very rigid. I could be very controlling sometimes. I could be all those things. I would be fluid. I would be flexible. I would be lighthearted. I would be unattached to an outcome. So pick something that helps to massage the outcome that would ultimately serve you. And in this instance, it would be something along the lines of that.
When you dive into this work, this is often one of the first things we start to notice is this was happening before, right? It was the default, and it was happening without our awareness and understanding that it was happening. There was probably even more frustrating situations, more annoyance, more being angry at random stuff coming up. But now what we're actually asking you to do is notice where you're at on the scale of connectivity and when you move up and down it. So as you start to notice, it's going to be like, oh, wow, how interesting. I was in a super peaceful spot. And then one little thing, and here I am all the way down in anger at a -3. So the first thing is just to let go of the judgment. That's bad or wrong. Oh, interesting. Here I am at a -3. This is what took me there, right? And in that place, that's why we pair the I choose statements with that scale of connectivity. So you have an ability and a tool, including the breathing, to go, all right, here I am in this anger. Do I want to move up? Do I want to shift? Do I want to transition? And in that place, I also want to encourage you. It's okay to feel that anger. Fuck, I really wanted to go swimming. Okay. All right. So since I can't go swimming, what else could it mean, right? Now I'm in the I choose. We don't just have to go like, oh, anger, I don't want to feel it. It's bad. And I choose this, right? We can have that moment of being like, oh, man, actually, I'm disappointed because I really love swim class and it's really centering for me. And I just super enjoy it. And like, oh, that's what it is. Or maybe it's like, oh, wow, I think that anger is about swim class, but what it's really tapping into is I want what I want. I don't get what I want. How come the world doesn't give me what I want, right? So if we can take that beat, that moment, if you're noticing and aware of it, just like you were like, oh, here I am, I was super peaceful and now I'm upset. Take a moment to be in that upset before we transition out, because that anger, that upset, that frustration, there's a gift in that. It's a little beacon telling you something. And sometimes the beacon is like, hey, you're being an asshole. And you need to step away. That's sometimes what it's saying to you. And sometimes it's more like, hey, I want you to notice this. And so for me, yesterday I had a migraine out of the blue. It started in the evening and I had a really relaxing, juicy, Ruby oriented day happening. And then the migraine came on and there's nothing juicy, relaxing, or orienting towards Ruby about that. I got frustrated, I got angry. Then I was like, okay, well, what else? Here I am in a migraine. How can I be in this? And what's the gift in this? What does this have for me? How can I feel into this more? If I expanded the pain, what would it tell me? I just had this moment. I didn't sit there. I didn't glorify. I didn't like go into it. I allowed myself to be angry at it. And then I allowed it to talk. Because for me, there was some anger in that migraine, right? It wanted something. It wanted to shout at me. So being in that, and then there was a lot of I chooses, like I choose presence, I choose breath, because the automatic reaction is like, oh my God, I want to die, right? I don't know if any of you have had a migraine, but generally I want to die. That's sort of like, dying would be nice. Could I die now? Could I die in 5 minutes? Could I die yesterday? I'd love that. Can you cut off my head until it goes away and then sew it back on really nicely? Instead, it's like, all right, I choose presence. I choose, one of my I chooses, I just choose to be in the pain. Here I am, a human in the experience of pain. What is that like? And then for me, it's like, oh my God, there are so many humans experiencing debilitating pain. How blessed I am that this is the pain I experience. I just got to flex and open and feel in that place. So when we allow those things, whether it's frustration or anger or this unexpected thing that we didn't want happening and it's happening, the reality is like, if we're choosing that it's all happening for me, then my goal in that moment is to ask a better question. What else could this mean? How is this life working out for me? I guess I needed to stay home and have a day like this because this is the day I'm having, right? Oh, I guess I needed to let Dylan be more supportive of me because this is what I needed. I thought I needed some alone time. No, I needed someone to be more supportive, to offer me more love, to be willing to take care of me. I needed more taking care of. That was one of the things that came through for me. So in that place, when instead of pushing against the thing that we don't want, if we can just allow it in and notice it, and then go into our I chooses, we get both things. We get the gift of unpacking. And sometimes there's a gift. And honestly, sometimes it's just like, whatever, this, I don't love this. I'm going to I choose because I don't want to be down at a -3, a -4, a -5. I know for me, -5 sucks. I don't want to be there. I don't want to live there. I want to exit out of there as soon as possible, right? So those I chooses are to give us that flexibility. So when we notice like, oh, wow, here I am angry about swim class. Maybe it's a big deal. Maybe it's not a big deal.
I think that this is what most instances are. Whatever your deep-seated beliefs that you grow up with and that you reinforce, remember, they just find a way else to manifest. I think it was beautiful that Ruby brought that up because it allows you to pause and think like, what is this other story behind this? Things don't work out for me. Nothing goes my way. The world is against me. Things always have to be tough. Right? Why is it always got to be hard? Whatever that story, that narrative, we have a handful of them, and some of them are really prominent and really thick, and then they manifest in our everyday life. Yeah. And it's just another place where we get to co-sign on why life sucks or why we're not enough. This is a good thing to pull on, right? Like, what's the story that I'm playing out? And so as we do this work, all of a sudden we go from being sleepy in our personal journey of just thinking that like life happens to us, so now all of a sudden we're very aware of like, oh, my thoughts are creating some of the shit that I feel, and my feelings are ultimately creating the shit that I am experiencing. So you start to connect the dots in really seamless ways. And the purpose is not to be like, see, look at what an asshole you are. It's really to say, hey, you have so much more control over your reality. So even if you're creating a lot of drama and you're creating a mess over here, now you know you can also do the opposite. Now you have a choice versus it not being optional.
I like to think of it as we're creating all day, every day. That's what we do. We're creating all day, every day. So it's like I can use my superpowers for good, or I can use my superpowers on default and just get what I get based on what I'm thinking. So it's like this moment of like, ooh, do I want to really use this to my benefit, the world's benefit, everyone's benefit, or am I just going to go on autopilot and let whatever old funky stories are running keep running?